What up, team? What up, everyone, and anyone new to the channel as well. This video is going to be different than most. It's going to be long. I'm having my buddy Ryan Johnson from Sons of Strength, who's been on the vlog before. I'm going to have him join me. He has a handful of Muay Thai fights under his belt, and what we're going to talk about here is the psychology of fighting. As many of you know, 9 weeks ago, March 1st, 2017, was the first time I actually threw a punch. Joined a boxing gym, hired a trainer who I've been working with once a week, and I want to talk about my experience. I want to talk to Ryan about his experiences. I kind of just want him here while I talk about some of this, because I think he'll be able to back it up with some of his own stories. And there's not a lot of benefit for me in making this video other than that learning how to fight has had a more drastic impact on my mindset and other pieces of my psychology than anything I've ever done. And so I want to share that specifically with those of you who are like me. And I know this can apply to men and women, but I'm speaking mainly to younger males who feel like you're soft. So I'm gonna leave it at that until Ryan gets here in the next half hour, and then we're just gonna riff on things. But enjoy the video, get comfy. I really, the call to action here is, if you've never tried a fighting sport, I think it makes a lot of sense to give it a shot just to see what happens, and we'll get into the whys and why I think that's so important in this video. Let's get, why are we so far away? We can come up on this. I think this moved a little. Grip, baby. Copper, you're so attractive. All right, I gotta get the angle on you so I appear to be bigger even though I'm cutting. All right, guys, this is Ryan. Ryan's gonna talk a good amount in this video, but first I wanna share my experience in the last 9 weeks, as well as life leading up to that, because I think that context is important, because I think a lot of you in today's society can relate to this. So, outside of an 8th grade scuffle with Chapin Nault, where he landed a very weak right above my eye, I've never been hit in the face. And I've never hit anyone in the face through 30 years of life. And bar scuffles, things like that in college, I just stayed out of it. I'm a pussy. I'm basically a pussy. And
you're a gentleman. You're a gentleman.
No, but it's not. I wasn't being kind and courteous and well-raised and well-mannered. I was being afraid. And not knowing what it feels like to get hit in the face is, it's actually something I want to talk about. We can just get right into that, which is that fear is almost always worse than actuality. Thinking about it versus it actually happening. And we talked about when you and your brother Eric sparred for the first time, and hitting him and just water going to the eyes.
It's jarring, yeah.
Yeah. But it's also I'm alive. I got hit in the face and I'm okay. I'm not dead.
Yeah. I mean, you could be. Then I think that's the level of fear that we'll always have there, is that you could have dire consequences from
absolutely
the power of another human being. And that's what makes you respect it and fear it.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm not talking walking down the street get clocked. I'm talking headgear on, gloves, with someone who knows what they're doing, like you and your brother, and just getting one in the face. It's just, it makes, we talked about this the other night, it just makes the rest of life easier. It makes other shit not matter. It makes arguments, it makes levels of anxiety, it makes life quiet down. Honestly, the movie Fight Club, as cliche as it is, has so much truth to it. Has been my experience.
Yeah, you really don't know that much about yourself until you've been punched in the face.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how you're going to respond. You don't know how you're going to react.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very on-the-spot reaction, where you get punched in the face and how you're going to respond. And you could train it, fortunately.
Yeah.
But that first...
What was the first time you got hit in the face?
Honestly, it was so long ago, I don't remember.
God, you weren't a pussy me and some of you guys. Did you in high school, would you get in fights in class or
No.
Okay.
One time when I was probably 8 years old. We were playing baseball pickle.
Yeah.
We were playing pickle, and I was playing with all Eric's friends, so they were 3 or 4 years older than me. And Eric said, like, don't peg Ryan too hard. And this kid pegged me hard, and Eric tackled him, threw him on the ground, and let me hit him. But that was the only time I ever got a fight in my life.
Got it.
Until I started fighting.
Got it. That's an awesome big brother move, by the way.
But I think I remember the first time I ever like saw stars like fighting. And I got like hit in the temple, and the first time I ever felt like my legs fall out from underneath you. That's like makes you wake up real fast.
And like, how does that translate? Like, in the hours and days and weeks after that is what I'm most interested in. Is like, was there a difference in your mindset? Was there like did that change you in any way?
I think just in general, being able to be hit in the face, like you said, and still be alive and you're still okay. It's like, reality is always, it teaches you that it's
not
just
as bad
like,
as fear.
It teaches you that, like, yeah, you're gonna get through anything that you're gonna get through. Like, you've got it at the end of the day, no matter like how big the struggle is. But
here's another thing I want to talk about. Are you a good dancer?
Terrible dancer.
I'm the worst. Like, in high school, dances, like things like that, nervous to initiate, like just bad, just zero rhythm. There's the connection that should exist between my upper and lower body does not exist. And like, on top of that, tight hips, which the mobility recently, like I've been doing 30 minutes of daily mobility for 3 weeks, has really helped a lot. But the rhythm that it teaches you, just like being on your toes, moving.
I don't think you'd be a better dancer though,
because you're still not a good dancer.
I got great rhythm, like in a ring and shadow boxing and slips.
You still don't dance.
Rolls,
if you practiced it, I'm sure like there are parallels, and that's not what I'm saying. Like, do this to become better dancing.
But yeah, you become very, very symmetrical side to side, and you learn. You become very
and up down.
Yeah.
Like what people don't realize, what I guess I didn't realize, other than my friend Baramone telling me, but not like fully comprehending what it means to like punch through your legs and your hips. Like when I first got in there, and my trainer Luis is teaching me how to literally throw a jab, how to throw a right. Like, I wasn't turning on it. I wasn't on the balls of my toes. I wasn't fully extending my hip when I would throw a punch. And learning that connection combined with moving around a ring, like it creates a fluidity and a rhythm that translates into real life. That changes the way you walk on the street.
And then how much faster those reactions come after you train it, where it's like second nature, where you can throw it right on the move, and that's where you see like the top level guys.
Instinctual.
Those top level guys, they can pivot and turn so fast, change their angle, and throw a strike. That's like really capturing the art and perfecting the movement.
Right, and that quickness comes in time and like.
But it's just everything is just tied together, and you feel it all. Where you could definitely just like look at somebody throw a punch and know if they're trained or not, the way they twist their body.
It's also, we're talking upper lower and like symmetry. There's something about because it is so exhausting. Like, I've only been going 2 months and it's brutal, but like you've said, there's no other training like fight training, like compared to rowing, compared to running, compared to like other forms of cardio. Being in that ultra fatigued state and still working through it, like, it does something to your body, to like the mind muscle connection.
Yep. And then so you're just training all different aspects of your body too, like your peripheral vision isn't getting enhanced, and just your peripheral vision, your reaction time, your coordination, your speed, your timing, like just a lot of like just being able to see over here. And that's another thing that would like relate onto like being around on the street, is like, especially in New York City with so much happening, like you are going to be more adept to see something in the corner of your eye, over here and just be generally just more aware of your surroundings and of your own body. You're more in tune with just
and like, that's cool for the purposes of safety. That's cool for like, especially for women. I talked about this not being as much just because of where my mindset's at for women as much as men, but like the self-defense aspect that comes along with it is huge. That's not even where I'm taking this though. Like, I've never been mugged. I've never been in that situation. I actually think that having a lot of lean mass and like having a build makes you less likely to be mugged. But
then you're also could be a bigger target for a bar bro that wants to get his his ego pumped.
I've never maybe I'm just running super good at life, but just by being smart, I've avoided those situations. That's not the upside so much as like you're talking awareness, you're talking being vigilant on the street and like peripheral vision. It's like a very innate confidence. Like even though I learned a little bit of technique and now I feel like I can beat this dude up, it's not that. But there's still something to where your eyes are. Like, are you looking up? Are you looking down? Are you looking people in the eye? Are you holding eye contact? Like, do you feel good about having conversations with people? Yeah, it's just like the swagger, the fighter, like.
Where it comes from is like, it comes from like the most genuine, truest form of confidence, because it's not a confidence that's built off of ego, and it's not a confidence that's built off of like, oh, I can't kick this guy's ass. It's built off this confidence of like, this sport is so humbling, because no matter how much I put into it, no matter how much effort I put into it, it's still fucking hard. No matter how good I get, and no matter how much I refine my skills, there's still somebody that can kick my ass. So it's like you respect the sport so much, and you respect the capabilities, and you respect your coaches and your sparring partners and your teammates, and like just everyone that's in the sport, that it doesn't ever come from a place of ego and I have something to prove. It comes just from a real like deep down, I feel like good about myself and I'm doing something that's bettering me.
That's the way that it forces you to drop your ego is one of the biggest. Like, I always thought that a fighting sport, training for it, not even like fighting, but training for it, is something that would be massively beneficial for me, even though I never tried it until recently, for that exact reason. That like I do at times lose my temper easily. I do, like, in especially physical like interactions, you know, it's like you're wrestling with buddies and like things get too far and you get super pissed and then you're just like react versus having control over your actions and over your emotions. It trains you for that.
And that's like one of the biggest stereotypes in gyms and fighting gyms and combat gyms is people think that the like fighters are such ego like fueled like barbaric men. And that's the case when they're in a ring in a cage fighting for sport and survival and to put food on their table for their family, because you have to make that transition when that's happening. But outside of the cage or the ring, everybody's just the most humble, respectful, quiet like human beings that you'll ever meet in your life, and just like openly accepting of a family and a community, and just we're all here for the same purpose and the same goal and to help each other. And it's a very cool thing to be a part of.
I'm not there yet. I still have a little bit of like douchey ego. Like, I feel like I can take someone on the street because I assume he's never trained and I have a whopping 9 weeks under my belt.
But that's the competitive nature in you. It's like, because it always like, where no human is perfect, so we always get into like,
for sure.
We'll make a resort back to it a little bit, but the overall like broad spectrum of it all.
You know what else I like? It takes focus off of physique. It takes focus off of external. It takes focus off of an extra ½ inch on my arms, a little bit more here, like, and it puts it on performance and on I don't want to say outcome, but like, performance results. Like, you're not training to look a certain way, which like, I remember the first time I got abs and the massive confidence that gave me, which is good, but this is a different kind of like training to a different end. Even though you can use boxing, you can use any form of fighting as a form of cardio to build a larger calorie deficit, because you do burn a lot of calories and it's really difficult. But
I mean, boxers and fighters in general have some of the best physiques. But they're not training for their physique.
I'm actually curious about this. Did you like through training, did you add size to your back, to your shoulders through throwing a lot of punching volume, or not so much?
No, because I was always trying to cut weight for fights.
You were never in a surplus for extended period of time while boxing.
Yeah, no, like I was never I always had, I would say too much, I don't want to sound like ego over here, but I've always had probably too much mass.
Yeah, he's huge.
For boxing.
I got the angle on him and he still looks massive.
But it's like, so it's like for me, it's always, my shoulders got leaner and my rear delts definitely got like more defined.
Yeah.
But that was that comes with the extra volume and just the caloric deficit.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing both. But I would say you start to pick up the adaptations necessary to be a fighter. Like your posture changes a little bit. Like you're different. Like one thing I would say, I guess I found is that I got more of like my serratus came in harder, different like parts of like my abdominal wall, rather than like the guys that you see are just six pack.
Yep.
And they're just boom, 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 boom. Boxers always have, and fighters just have a way more developed midsection.
Got it.
Rather than just like that, rather than like the Abercrombie model of just being like
just
no oblique and just
so much more rotation work.
Yeah, just so much more rotation work.
Got it.
And then just like the shoulder packing.
Yep.
And the lat and but
nice, man. I know I keep going back to this. My trainer Luis said this to me the other day. We went and got lunch after a session. He was like, you can teach technique. You can teach all the technique in the world, but you can't teach not having a glass chin. Like you can't teach heart, which is, it was the original reason I started doing this, is because I think I'm soft and I wanted to know and I wasn't sure. And after having sparred a handful of times, like knowing that I can actually take a punch and be okay, compared to, like not compared to any other humans, but compared to me 6 months ago and not knowing what would happen, it's just, I just think we're all so soft. I've talked about this here, and I think society's soft, and I think we're getting softer. And things like the Chinatown Grindhouse, which was an apartment I intentionally moved into that was substandard quality, just to like put yourself in hard situations, taking the middle seat intentionally to force yourself to grind. Like this has elements of that, which is I'm gonna do something hard on me, uncomfortable, scary, because that's going to make me tougher and better in the future as a result of it.
There is a lot of stories of that, like super successful businessmen who, if they feel themselves starting to get into that mindset where they're getting comfortable and they're getting used to a certain way of life, they'll book themselves and coach in economy on a flight rather than first class.
Yeah.
To make them feel what it was like.
Yeah.
To make them work harder to get back.
That hunger.
It's that hunger.
Yeah.
But I mean, although as Louis says that you can't teach it, you can't teach heart and grit, it's one thing you can earn. So if you think, like Mike's saying, if you think you're at home,
I don't have it,
if you think you're soft and you think you're like, oh, like, I would never be able to take a punch, it's something that you can absolutely like refine just by like hours and hours and hours of beating on it. I remember like one of like the very first fight camps I was ever in, there was like 6 of us that were all fighting. So they came in and like drilled us for like 3 hours, our instructors. And at the time it just seemed like so pointless, and everything inside of me as like a strength coach and like doing this for a profession is like, this is stupid. Like this is pointless, like this makes no sense. Like, but at the end of it, they're like, we just want to see if you have it. Like we want to see if you have the heart and if you have the,
it wasn't science,
the tenacity and the fortitude to survive. And as a strength coach, it may seem dumb, but then as a fighter, it's very important. Because then when you get into fighting, like you're not just fighting for yourself. Like your coach is investing your time, and your teammates are investing their time, and any like supporting figures you have outside of your life. So for me, it was like my mom and my dad and Eric, my brother, and it's like these are people that are sacrificing their valuable time and their like life to help you. So they don't want to do that if you're not going to be 100%.
You owe it to them.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's also a very hard driving force when you realize that. It's like that you're doing it for
not you.
Not yourself. And, it's a different concept, because when you go into the ring, people look at you and they think, oh, he's on his own. That's one of the, like, somebody for me who I've always played team sports my whole life, and especially like football, and I was never the standout star. I was in the trenches. I was a lineman, so nobody saw me. I was never the quarterback or the running back. So all of a sudden you get into the ring, you're like, holy shit, this is all eyes on me.
Mm-hmm.
But in your own mind, you have like, I'm not
support.
I'm not alone. I have my 2 coaches in the corner. I got my parents in the crowd. I got my brother in the crowd. I got all my friends and all my family here.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's a very
it's really cool.
full circle thing. But you could definitely teach grit.
And earn it, right?
Yeah.
Like teach it and just develop it through time.
Yes, exactly. That's what it comes down to. You can't teach it. The only way to do it is you have to earn it yourself.
Yeah. Let's talk, for those of you interested maybe, and by the way, I picked boxing. I literally I Googled jiu-jitsu. It was any form of fighting I was fine with. I just wanted to start something. This guy was making a push for Muay Thai, and I'm like, bro, I can't.
He saw a Mike Tyson highlight video, let's be honest.
No, bro, it was the movie Creed. I'll be completely honest. It was literally a Hollywood blockbuster that I was like, yeah, like I'm signing up.
There's every single piece of me that after I saw Creed was like, yeah, I'm going to train right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, but to talk about what we were talking about earlier, in the sense of learning how to get hit in the face too, it's also hard to learn how to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not in our nature, unless unless you're.
I think I have a lot of anger.
Unless
way down there.
But like as a human, like it's hard to look across somebody and be like, all right, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I run into a lot with my own clients is like when I have them spar for the first time, it's like, I don't want to hit you. I don't want to hit you.
Oh,
they have so much like reservation to like hit you and then you have to teach them that it's okay. So it's like for me, I'll just sit there and I'll just take punches from them.
Yeah.
And like show them that it's fine. And then but when once they flip that switch, it's like they feel so much more comfortable and now it becomes second nature. But like that's another thing in a fight is like in a street fight, like you might be so fueled by anger that you're gonna throw a punch, but to be fueled by like comfort and to just sit here and be like, all right, I'm gonna throw a punch. It's like 2 very different things.
Yeah.
And 2 very different outcomes for a fight.
I'm still learning. I have a lot to learn.
But that's like, when you could sit back and just be like, all right, I'm gonna throw this out of just like pure comfort and pure sport.
Yeah.
It's very different from saying like, I'm gonna throw this out of like anger and survival.
It's probably less taxing on your nervous system, your adrenaline by being like in that comfort state versus a fight or flight fighting state.
Yes, exactly. Much more,
which allows you to go longer and like
and you start to realize like it's like you're probably like so focused on like I need to land every single punch and I'm gonna like give this punch all I got. I'm gonna give this punch all I got. And you realize that it's like you have to look at any like a fat loss journey or any journey. You have to look at the process. And the whole fight is a process, start to finish. You can't like look at every single like trying to like.
There's no perfect.
It'd be like trying to like be perfect on your diet day in and day out. It's like the fight is like you just hope you get to the end process and you've done more good than bad, and then you'd win.
All the good adds up. 100%. Let's talk about 4 people who might be interested in this. Like I said, I picked boxing based on a Hollywood blockbuster. I was like, this would be cool, but I guess how would you recommend picking a sport and then training for that sport, assuming that like that people don't want to or can't shell out 4 or 5 or 6 one-on-one sessions a month?
To pick your sport, it's kind of like, unless you know like what type of person you are in the sense of like I want to like hit things and I'm okay with the thought of being hit, like that's being in my eyes, in my opinion, jiu-jitsu is like extremely hard and extremely taxing to like wrestle somebody and like try to for me as a beginner, it's like when I do jiu-jitsu, because I'm completely untrained, I've done it maybe like 10 times in my entire life, but I would just try to muscle somebody over and just try to use all my might. And like the instructor was like a 4th degree black belt from Brazil, and he was like 150 pounds, and he would when he knew how to put his weight on you, he'd feel like he was 400 pounds. You couldn't move him. And just like I would be out of breath, like dying on the mat, and he would just be like, it's good. Also the same thing, like first time I did jiu-jitsu, he ended up being a professional fighter, Nick Newell, but he was born with half an arm on his right side. So I was timid at first, but then this dude just rolled me across the mat and just buried me. But So it's different. It's very hard in that sense, but it's not. You don't get that jarring like punch you in the face, kick you, knock you out. The only way you're gonna get knocked out is if you get put to sleep.
Yeah.
So if you have like no interest in being punched in the face,
Jiu-jitsu.
which I think you should at least try once, go into like wrestling or like jiu-jitsu, then like the stand-ups like boxing and Muay Thai and kickboxing are all great. If you have like any like knee injuries, like you just have bad knees in general, you might want to just go with boxing. Kind of then like whatever attracts you. I fell into Muay Thai because I happened to go to, somebody gave me a recommendation for a gym. I like wanted something post high school that was competitive and team-like. So I went to this gym that had boxing, they had Muay Thai, and they had jiu-jitsu. So I was like, oh, what's Muay Thai? I've never tried that before, like I want to try it. And I took the class the next day, and like the owner of the gym was teaching the class that day, and he like said, I don't know how PG YouTube is, but he was like, when you kick him in the leg, he was like, break his fucking knee. And I was like, the sheer like
you like that
violence of it and like the beauty of it, I was like, I'm in. Because then you start to realize that it is like, even though it's so violent on the outside, when you learn to understand it, it's so beautiful at the same time. But then to get into it, so after you pick your sport, the next would be like, it's hard to say, all right, I'm gonna do this on my own, I'm gonna self-teach myself. And if you don't
pick it up, are there good classes?
That's the one good thing. So generally I'm like not a huge fan of workout classes, especially in like New York City. Like a lot of it is just like
Packed
fluff and no one's looking at you. It's like kind of just like this big broad sense that you get lost into the back and get your sweat and get out. Boxing classes, Muay Thai classes are probably the only, besides something as like a cycling class, because you can't screw up cycling. You can get a lot of benefit. That's actually how I learned completely, was all just through class.
Really?
Yeah, because there's
one
instructor, two instructor,
and go to like the bag and do drills on your own.
Yeah, so it's mine was very different. The classes I'm talking about are not like a boxing bag class where you have like, you're like up like doing these like weird combinations on the bag and then doing all these like ground-based activity. Mine were like very technical. There was 20 people in the class and the instructor would teach a technique and then you'd break off like with your partner, practice that technique with all like the hard stuff mixed in. You do pad work with each other, your partner would hold pads, you would hold pads. So you get to learn both. You get to learn how to hold pads for your partner and then as that time goes, you learn how to work the bag yourself. You make friends at the gym, which is another great benefit to it, is being around like-minded people. For people, you know, we've always heard like the concept of you are like the 5 people around the most. So it's like you get to be around, you might find 1 or 2 like really good friends. That's how I actually found like 2 of my best friends. That's how my roommate was my Muay Thai coach.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome. We lived together for 2 years. And so you find insanely, which is a completely different topic to find. You know, you find people that will be in your life forever, but then you learn to you train with them and you kind of just like make it. I mean, I didn't have funds to be like, all right, I'm gonna go hire a personal trainer or hire a coach, which is kind of why I went into fighting, because I was like, all right, I want like personal instruction now. I want to push the envelope on this. Like, but I'm not gonna pay for it. I can't pay for it, so it's like, all right, I'm just gonna join a fight team. Now I'm getting more instruction
without shelling out.
Whatever. Not saying like go fight and get punched in the face just because you want free personal training, but like, because it's also because you have to respect their, and like I was saying before, you have to respect their time and actually be serious about it. Because as a personal trainer myself, like I very much so value my instructors' times, because I understand what it's like to be trying to make a living. So
on the other end of that, pick a sport based on gut instinct, personality, who you are, and then find a gym off Google that's highly rated nearby that trains that sport and go start.
Classes. That's the most important thing is starting.
Like anything in life.
It's like starting, just like go try it and do it. And then to get better, it's like, if you're gonna pick like Muay Thai or boxing, like shadow box, you're gonna feel like an absolute idiot the first time you do it, but it's also the way, like, for my clients, especially, like, It's another thing too. It's like you teach them on the pad and you teach them on the bag, and then you tell them, you start to try to teach them shadow boxing. It's like, wait, I don't have somebody sitting here like feeding me combinations. I don't have somebody telling me to jab and jab cross hook. Like now I have to think about it myself.
Yeah.
And when you start to think about it yourself and put it together in your own brain, that's how you truly learn it. It's like writing something down rather than just like reading it on a screen.
Yeah. Good stuff, bro. Let's wrap up here. I appreciate you chatting.
I appreciate it. And we're gonna spar soon.
I'm not looking forward to that. No kicks. 0 kicks. If you have questions, leave them below. I'll let Ryan get in there, and if I can answer anything, I will. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you taking the time.
No, it's been fun. It's been fun watching him go through his journey. I like his.
I'm always texting
his Snapchats and.
We FaceTimed the other day. I was like, bro, you see this on my nose? You see this mark? He's like, yep. It's a bridge bruise.
He's hooked. You can always tell when somebody's hooked.
It's really fun. All right, man.
All right.
Bang.